All right, we are back, and it's time for good vibes. And with us, the beautiful, vivacious Debbie Cox Deneau. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And I was looking at this topic. I'm going. I wonder if she means this for me,
I mean it
but
for everybody.
fasting for longevity.
Fasting for longevity.
All right, so we all need. Well, I do. We all need to drop a few pounds. Those that are watching that need to drop a few pounds. Fasting for longevity, but it's more about losing weight. It's more
It
about
is,
living longer.
it's way more than just losing weight. And we've touched on this topic before because we've talked about longevity, but I feel like it deserves its own episode because there's so much emerging research around the benefits of intermittent fasting and just
Hmm.
fasting.
Hmm.
And what we're talking about is yes, there are definitely weight loss benefits. There are longevity benefits as well, though. You're basically putting your body into a natural state of healing that it was intended to have. So, way back when we had to hunt our own food, there were long periods of time where we would not eat, right? Where we were hunting for food, and the body had its systems in place to create mental acuity, mental sharpness, and performance so that we could actually hunt and find our food. Now, of course, these days, with technology, a lot of us are just sitting and eating, and we're using one metabolic system and not the other. So, the metabolic system that most people are using is the sugar burning metabolic. So,
Hmm.
basically, they're burning glucose as an energy source. Some people go their entire lives without coming out of the glucose. So, basically, what that means is that you're eating carbs mostly, right? And then you come to a satiated, so your glucose goes up, your blood sugar goes up, and you become satisfied. You start burning that energy, it comes down, you feel a feeling of hunger, you start eating carbs again, you come up, and it can also be protein as well that'll raise the blood sugar. But basically, what we're doing is we're using that one system. And what happens is that you're storing a fat in that system, especially if you're sitting around, you're not moving your body a lot, and you're eating
Hmm.
a lot of calories. Now, in order for us to get the benefits that we're about to talk about, you're going to need to switch metabolic systems over to burning ketones.
Hmm.
Okay, so ketones is when your body switches over to a fat burning state.
Hmm.
So basically, those are the chemicals that happen when the liver is using your fat as a storage. And you're only going to get that if you start becoming hungry. Now, I know that a lot of people have tried intermittent fasting and have had some very uncomfortable results. I'm definitely going to address how to ease yourself into it the most comfortable way. But I want to talk about what the science is saying. And I would actually encourage everyone at home to get a pen and paper and actually write this down for yourself because what we're going to do is take this in phases. So if you're not doing if you've never done intermittent fasting before and you jump right into it, you can make yourself quite uncomfortable. And a
Hmm.
lot of people actually feel like it's dangerous because they get headaches,
Hmm.
they feel just horrible, right? And so we want to avoid that experience. We want to take it one ledge at a time. Okay. So, but let me tell you about the research and write this down at home, please, for yourself so that you know which ledge you're going for next. Okay.
Hmm.
So the research shows that you get the first ledge is basically 13 hours. At 13 hours, your blood sugar and insulin start going down, your growth hormone production goes up, and this slows down the aging process. So you're lowering the inflammation and you're getting some anti-aging benefits, okay? At 15 hours, men specifically have a 1,300% increase in testosterone naturally. Okay. This is huge because, again, this is anti aging, and we already talked about how important testosterone is for men. This is a
Hmm.
natural way to support your testosterone production. But going back to 13 hours, I want to say this. There was a research study, and there wasn't a lot of research on the women. We talked about that before.
Hmm.
One of the most important research studies that was actually done on women were breast cancer survivors who had gone through traditional treatment for breast cancer. And they were put on a 13-hour intermittent fasting protocol.
Hmm.
So that means they would just fast for 13 hours and they didn't change their food, nothing. They were found to have a 64% decrease in the reoccurrence of their breast cancer just by doing that alone. And again, they didn't change anything else. They didn't change their food, just 13 hours of fasting. Okay. At 15 hours, again, you're getting the 1,300% increase. At 17 hours, you get the benefits of mental acuity and cellular autophagy. And autophagy, we've talked about, is that body's recycling process. And essentially, what's happening is that your cells are recognizing there's nothing coming in. There's no glucose, there's no nutrients coming in. And what happens is the message is basically sent we need to clean up our act. We need to become the most efficient form that we possibly can of our cells. So, what happens is that very quickly it starts to basically get rid of the senescent cells, the zombie cells, the cells that are more likely to
Hmm.
turn into cancer, gets rid of those bacteria, viruses, mitochondrial function improves. So you want to support natural cellular autophagy, and at the 17th hour is when you get those great benefits. Okay, so you're getting rid of all the aging cells, all
No
of that stuff.
water, no anything?
Water, yes.
You can drink water.
Okay, yes, but in the truest form of fasting, you're not getting any calories.
Okay.
All right, now some
So
people
green
do.
tea?
You can have green tea. Yep.
Okay.
You can have coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And some people will do it to where they're basically taking in things that aren't going to actually raise their glucose. So
No
you can
sugar in your
so they can
coffee.
take no sugar in your coffee. You can have a little bit of cream if you're not doing the truest form, because
Mm-hmm.
that'll actually continue to keep you in ketosis. Okay. And again, ketosis is where you're burning ketones and
Mm-hmm.
you're using fat as the source of fuel. At 24 hours, your gut starts to reset and you get new intestinal stem cells that's basically going to repair the inner lining of the gut. Okay, this is 24 hours. 36 hours, your body starts to actually attack the stubborn fat, specifically the fat around your belly, and starts using that as energy source. 48 hours, you start getting a new dopamine receptor sites because your brain is basically having to go look for more food. And then at 72 hours, you get a whole immune system recycled. 72 hours of no food. Okay.
Mm.
So these are all the benefits that you can look forward to. Obviously, if you've never done fasting before, don't jump to 72. It might be a little difficult.
I'd be dead.
Right. We're going to talk about how
Yeah.
to ease into it.
They have cancer patients that swear that they got into fasting programs for a long time.
Mhm.
Tumor shrank from 4 inches to
Mhm.
nothing. I've been watching all these shows and I'm going, this is crazy, but they swear by it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Your body gets really efficient. So you're certainly reducing your incidence of cancer. That's what the research is bearing out. And what basically happens is that your body goes into, whenever it's burning ketones, it goes into kind of a survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically like, okay, we got to get real sharp. We got to increase performance. We have to get rid of all the nonsense that's in the body because we need to find food. And so if you've never experienced running on ketones, then you're robbing yourself of all of these performance benefits. And basically, the switch from going from burning sugar to burning ketones, it becomes kind of rusty. That's why it becomes kind of uncomfortable,
Mhm.
right? So one of the things that this research, by the way, comes from Dr. Mindy Pelz. And so if you're fascinated by this, definitely look her up because she's got way more than we can cover within the space of this show. But basically, what she was saying is that what you want to remember, whether you're fasting for 13 hours or 72, is that your refeeding is actually really important. I'll say this first. For those of you who do not want to change your eating at all, because some people are like, look, I'm not changing my food, or they have a food addiction or something like that. What's really amazing about this is that when you're doing 16 and 8, so that means that you're fasting for 16 hours and you're eating you're repressing all of your food intake into an 8-hour window. It has been shown that the metabolic inflammatory effects of a bad diet, a SAD diet, the standard American diet,
Mm-hmm.
is actually mitigated. You actually protect yourself from all of the liver damage, the blood pressure stuff, the cholesterol stuff that comes typically with the standard American diet just by repressing that same diet that you're typically eating into an 8-hour window.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That said, it's very much difficult. It's much harder to go from the standard American diet to fasting than it is if you clean up your diet first. So Dr. Pell says what she would recommend first is to clean up your diet, because what you want to do is you're typically, if you're in a sugar burning thing, you're going up, you're going down, you're taking in the sugar, you're crashing down, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we want to do is kind of calm and level things out so that you can easily switch over smoothly to burning ketones without your body going into an emergency.
Change the template.
Yes, change the template. You could do that 3 ways. First of all, better oils. Okay, so right now in your kitchen, if you were to replace all of your canola, your seed oils with avocado oil for cooking because it has a lower burn
Mm-hmm.
rate, right? Coconut oil and olive oil, avocado, olive, and coconut, then you would see a huge improvement right there. Choose better carbs. Instead of refined carbohydrates, try to choose from nature. What we're talking about is moving more toward whole foods, what your body
Mm-hmm.
actually recognizes as foods. Okay. So, like broccoli and vegetables and things like that versus white bread and pasta. Right. And then the third thing is just to avoid the highly inflammatory foods, the prepackaged foods that we talked about. All of the processing that we do to keep it, to create a longer shelf life for our food is actually highly toxic to our body. So, if you can clean up those things first, that's a good first step. Then you want to baby step yourself into it. Remember, the first ledge is 13 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with 12. Can you fast for 12 hours? Can you push breakfast back half an hour or an hour and get yourself to a window of 12 hours comfortably? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And once you're there, then you baby step forward. All right. The other thing is to expect that in the very beginning, your relationship to hunger is going to be what it is when you're in your sugar burning phase, which
Mm-hmm.
means that your body is going to leverage the neurochemicals to create hunger in you and all sorts of things to get you to eat. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to understand that that's coming. Some of the things that you can do is to, for example, choose mineral water instead of flat water. Okay, so that's
Mm-hmm.
going to create that little bubbly, make sure you have some electrolytes in there
Mm-hmm.
because your body's going to be losing electrolytes as well. You can set a timer because hunger ebbs and flows. So if you feel hunger coming on, what you can do is tell yourself, I'm going to check back in 10 minutes and then I'm going to decide whether I'm going to break this fast. In all likelihood, your hunger will go and you'll get distracted and you won't break the. It's kind of like playing a little trick
It's
with
your
yourself.
body trying to trick you.
It's your body trying to trick you. And look, it has some big ways to do that, right? But here's the other thing is that what happens in the fasting period is that they found that bacteria will instead of going in clusters, it will spread out, likely to find nutrients, to find food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what will happen is that all of that the bacteria will go in search of the kind of food that it wants. And in that period of time, she said, if you look at the gut, you might think, oh my gosh, something bad is happening here. This is why the refeeding process is really important. You want to put highly nutritious, good for you foods into your body because what you want to do while the bacteria is spread out is feed the good bacteria
Mm-hmm.
and starve out the bad. We've talked about how the bacteria
Right.
can actually run your life, right? You have a lot of sugar bacteria in your body. The sugar bacteria wants to eat sugar. It will
Mm-hmm.
hijack your neurochemicals and try
Mm-hmm.
to get you to find sugar. And as soon as you put that sugar in your body, you're going to get that
And
hit.
it works itself to the brain, which we thought it never could make the brain. Now they're finding out Alzheimer's and things in the
Oh, for
brain
sure.
are coming from your gut.
Oh yeah, there's that gut brain axis. Absolutely, the health of your gut actually influences the health of
The
your brain as
coconut
well.
all gets through the brain barrier.
Yep, it sure does.
See, I've been researching.
I know, I love this. I
Yeah.
love this so much. So make sure that when you're refeeding yourself, that you're feeding yourself the kinds of foods that are going to be supportive of life. Remember whole foods. Remember that you want all of those good, nuts, seeds, vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
fruits, so that you're actually feeding the good bacteria and the bad bacteria dies off. It's really, really some of the most effective ways to address disease
Mm-hmm.
prevention, weight loss, longevity, you name it. There are so many benefits.
Real quick, what's next week? We got something else?
Next week, we're talking about releasing emotional trauma, something else that's good for your health.
Yes, indeed. All right. Okay, we'll take a short break and we're coming back more next time on Good Vibes. Thanks, Debbie, for that. And listen to her. We'll see you next time.